everybody. I'm Jonathan Randall, and welcome to another episode of How You Like Me Now. It has now been over 2 months since the Hamas attack, and Israel has just been obliterating Gaza ever since, displacing nearly 1.9 million people, killing and injuring thousands, horrors on display for the world to see, dead civilians on social media. Scroll through gruesome images that no one should have to witness, let alone experience. But that's what it's like to live in Gaza right now. A place that before October 7th was described as an open-air prison and even a concentration camp. I guess now it could be described as an open-air prison or concentration camp, your pick, being pounded by the Israeli military with more explosive power than was dropped on Hiroshima. A lot more. It's a crazy time to be a Jew, where my people care more about posters being torn down than children being killed by the thousands, where people are losing their jobs over phrases like from the river to the sea and Intifada, because people are claiming that they are calls for Jewish genocide, while those same people blindly support Israel while it kills thousands, committing what many people say is an actual genocide. Families erased from the earth, children dead and dying, all for being Palestinian. How grateful we should all be for not being born in Gaza, a place where just being born is signing your own death warrant. I've never been ashamed of being Jewish in my whole life until now. There is no menorah for Hanukkah in my window this year. Sadly, the bombardment of Gaza has been going on for way longer than just 8 days. And the only miracle is if you're Palestinian and you survive. Seeing so many people, ones I care about, people I respected, not just being silent, but complicit with people being slaughtered by the thousands, caring more about a political ideology than human life. Siding with Israel just because you're Jewish, even though what it's doing and has been doing to the Palestinian people is so wrong. How can anyone say never forget in one breath and no ceasefire in the next? How can people do nothing while Israel violates Palestinian human rights? How did it come to this? Escaping Auschwitz to create Gaza? Taking the side of the oppressor of Israel because it claims that's what it means to be Jewish, which it doesn't. And it is actually in direct opposition with the values of Judaism, with the 10 Commandments and the Torah. Violating Palestinian human rights will never be what it means to be Jewish. And it's clearer now more than ever. Then Israel isn't the Jews' salvation as dreamed upon by the Zionists trying to escape the anti-Semitism in Europe, but the dispossession, subjugation, and dehumanization of the Palestinian people done in Judaism's name will be our downfall. Not only is Israel killing thousands of Palestinians that it has already been oppressing since 1948, but in America, it's trying to silence anyone who speaks out for Palestinian human rights and a free Palestine. While Israel continues its decades-long oppression of the Palestinian people, not only is it ruthlessly attacking Gaza, it's attacking our freedom of speech here in the United States, claiming that calls for Palestinian liberation are really about murdering Jews. If controlling nearly all aspects of Palestinian life wasn't bad enough, Israel now wants to control how we protest for freedom for the Palestinians as well. Murdering Palestinians isn't enough. It wants to silence our voices to stop those murders. One of the words that people keep saying means genocide of all Jews is Intifada, which in Arabic translates to shaking off or uprising. Saying globalize the Intifada isn't saying be violent to Jews everywhere. It's saying everyone should stand up against Israel's treatment of the Palestinian people. How can anyone not see that this isn't about hate speech? It's about silencing Palestinian voices. The first Intifada in 1987 was mostly nonviolent forms of civil disobedience. And while the second Intifada in 2000 was more violent and had suicide bombers that killed many Israelis, it wasn't at all a genocide. If anyone is committing a genocide, it's Israel. Its supporters can claim that every slogan for Palestinian liberation is a call to murder Jews, but it's really hard to hear them say that over the bombs dropping on Gaza that are literally killing thousands and thousands of Palestinians. Some good news. Puma will stop sponsoring the Israel Football Association and Israel's national football team next year. I've been boycotting Puma, so I am extremely happy to hear about this, even though they are saying this decision was made way before October 7th and has nothing to do with all the boycotts. But I care more about them not sponsoring illegal settlement teams than I do about why they decided to stop doing so. So way to go, Puma! Once the sponsorship ends, I'll consider wearing your stuff again. I was never a huge fan of Biden, only a hater of Trump. And what little like I had for Biden totally disappeared with the way he's been handling Israel and the destruction of Gaza. He really pissed me off when he said that he saw pictures of beheaded children, which he didn't, because there aren't any, and then totally lost my vote when he said that the number of dead Palestinians couldn't be trusted. And after saying that if there was no Israel, there wouldn't be a Jew in the world that is safe, he's dead to me, which isn't really far off. I went to unfollow him on social media, even though I wasn't even following him in the first place. That's one of the dumbest things I have ever heard in my life. And Israel is not only the most dangerous place for Jews, but it puts Jews everywhere in danger. I don't care if Trump wins, I will not vote for Biden. Sleepy Joe, I could tolerate, but Genocide Joe has got to go. While Biden is still Israel's bitch, and the U.S. was one of 10 countries that voted against the UN humanitarian ceasefire, somewhere around 15,000 dead Palestinians, the Biden administration started talking about minimizing Palestinian civilian deaths. And now he is warning Israel that it's losing international support. Yeah, that's what happens when you indiscriminately bomb civilians and kill thousands of children. 153 countries voted for the UN ceasefire. Several countries have cut diplomatic ties with Israel. People all over the world are protesting in support of Palestine. The leaders of Australia, Canada, and New Zealand said in a joint statement that the price of defeating Hamas cannot be the continuous suffering of all Palestinian civilians, which is 100% true, and was before October 7th when the people in Gaza and the West Bank were still suffering at the hands of Israel, and have been for decades. A ceasefire is barely getting started, considering Israel needs to end its occupation and facilitate an independent Palestinian state. While most of the world is overwhelmingly demanding a ceasefire, even with one, it won't change the horrific quality of life Palestinians have. Things for them have only gone from bad to worse. We need a lot more than just a ceasefire. We need a free Palestine. We need an end to the occupation. We need a future where Palestinians live with dignity and have the rights that so many of us take for granted. If you're not following me on social media, please do, at Jonathan Randall across all platforms. I would really appreciate it if you showed me some love on Ko-fi. I will put the link in the description. In case it isn't clear, I speak out in support of Palestinian human rights because I want there to be a Palestine, not because I don't want there to be an Israel. I think it's important to be clear about this because too many people are treating this like it's a totally black and white issue, and that if you want a free Palestine, it means you want the destruction of Israel, which simply isn't true. I care about there being a Palestine, not there being no Israel. There can be both. There will be both. How many more people have to die before it happens? I don't know. I want the suffering to end, not just to transfer it to another people. I want all people to live with dignity and in freedom. I'm Jonathan Randall. How you like me now?